Hello, my name's Joe Campo. What's your name? Outstanding. Welcome to Bobby Pickles Podcast.
Bobby Pickles Podcast. He always says, "That's me." With a look on his face, he'll talk about anything.
Outstanding.
Tattoos, t-shirts, politics, history, and hot sauce on everything. Bobby Pickles. Pop culture, documentaries, conspiracy theories, sarcasm, and beer. It's a conversation. Start listening, cause we're all here. Bobby Pickles Podcast.
That's me. Hello, I'm Bobby Pickles. What's your name? Outstanding. Well, actually, my name is Robert Piccarillo, but my nom de plume is Bobby Pickles. Bobby Pickles is an AKA, an alias, a pen name, a nickname, a stage name, whatever you like to call it. I'm not the first to establish such a moniker. No, this practice is as old as the hands of time. From porn stars to American Italians, many have created pseudonyms, from Mark Twain to Dr. Seuss. Social activists such as Malcolm X, sports icons such as Ocho Cinco or Muhammad Ali, visual artists such as Picasso or Caravaggio, old school gangsters such as Bugsy Siegel or Lucky Luciano, serial killers such as the Son of Sam or Jack the Ripper, superstar criminals such as Billy the Kid or Butch Cassidy, even the Sundance Kid. You may be asking yourself, what's the point of this blathering? Well, that's a good question. I guess I was just thinking about the overall theme of this episode, and I boiled it down to human enlightenment, something that I would describe as acute self-awareness, a characteristic that many of my cohorts and counterparts do not share. I feel it's a realization of what Buddhism teaches, that age-old mantra, I am above no one, I am beneath no one, we are all human, and we are all going to die someday. Actually, come to think about it, Buddha was a code name too, a designation. The Buddha's given name was Siddhartha. It's actually a very interesting story, the biography of the Buddha. He was born to a royal Hindu family and was said to have been destined by birth to the life of a prince. His father, who was a great king, wished for his son to become a great king as well. So he shielded Siddhartha from all religious teachings and from any knowledge of human suffering. He kept him within the confines of his numerous palaces, and he was always surrounded by pleasure. At the age of 29, Siddhartha left his palace to meet his subjects. While en route, his chariot happened upon an old man. This was something that Siddhartha had never been exposed to. So he asked his charioteer, who explained to him that all people grow old, even Siddhartha will eventually age. And despite his father's efforts to shelter him from aging, sickness, death, and suffering, the prince went on further trips beyond the palace. He encountered a diseased man, a decaying corpse, and an ascetic, which is a person described as having a lifestyle characterized by abstinence from various worldly pleasures, often with the aim of pursuing religious and spiritual goals. Once Siddhartha realized that he would also someday grow old and get sick and die, and that he was in fact human, just like everybody else, he decided to flee his palace for good and to search for the answer to the following question: what does it mean to be human? He recognized that meditation was the right path to awakening, but extreme asceticism didn't work. Therefore, he discovered what Buddhists call the middle way, a path of moderation away from the extremes. It was after this that he was famously seated under a Bodhi tree, vowing never to arise until he had found the truth. And after 49 days of meditation, at the age of 35 years old, he is said to have attained enlightenment. Translated, the word Buddha literally means the awakened one, or the enlightened one. The question, what does it mean to be human, I guess can be misconstrued as somewhat of a loaded question. A person is not going to be able to attain the appropriate state of mind necessary to answer such an ambitious query, sitting in front of the TV all day, watching cable news, playing video games, while snacking on fast food and GMOs. To truly consider what it means to be human, I feel a person needs to venture out of their comfort zone, just like the Buddha did. If said person was an American, they would need to shed themselves of their overdeveloped ethnocentrism and do a little traveling, encounter different cultures, consume the cable news of another country, experience life from another perspective. Do some ayahuasca, for God's sakes. There's a documentary film on Netflix that I streamed a while ago called The Human Experience. The plot of the film follows two brothers living in a halfway house in Brooklyn, New York, who venture on a Buddha-like quest in search of the answer to the question, what does it mean to be human? They live amongst the homeless, travel to distant lands, and put themselves into various situations which help shape their outlooks of the world, granting them the insight necessary to realize the truth about humanity and find enlightenment. I got a chance to sit down for a one-on-one interview with the producer of the film, a gentleman by the name of Joseph Campo, at his office in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. Campo is the executive producer at Grassroots Films and director of the St. Francis House, which is the halfway house where the two brothers in the film reside. There's obviously a crossover to real life as Campo serves as a surrogate father to many young men who, having run out of alternatives, are looking for a new start in life. The St. Francis House, which in 1967 was founded by a Franciscan friar by the name of Father Benedict Groschel, provides these men with safety and structure. Sounds like a great place. Maybe they'll take me. Anyway, my conversation with Joseph Campo felt effortless, touching upon topics such as drug addiction, documentary filmmaking, growing up Catholic, and of course, what it means to be human. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Joseph Campo.
1, 2, 3. Vetbobenzo.com, 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 vetbobenzo.com.
This is your son,
This
right?
is my son, Michael. Yes, he's our.
And you're asking me about the art of racing in the rain, because I was just about to give you some T-shirts from my T-shirt company, Fat Enzo.
Okay.
And that's the name of the dog in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually had Enzo way before that. He's like 10 years old, and I got him in college. I graduated in 2004, and that book came out in 2006. And I was so pissed that they had come out with a book where the main character was Enzo, and it looks exactly like my dog too.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, he's like yellow.
Retriever?
He's a retriever and a chow. So he's got a big fat face.
Check it out, Mike. We just did a commercial.
Yeah. I got these for you for a gift here.
Oh, thanks. What do we got?
You know, I thought you were in a different area actually when you're saying Manhattan, and I don't know. I didn't know this was like the Greenpoint area.
This is Greenpoint.
I thought for some reason this was like Bed-Stuy.
No,
I don't know
no,
why.
We discussed Greenpoint.
Yeah. Oh, we did.
I think so.
It's weird. This is a nice area, by the way. Really nice area. You get off right there, Long Island City, and you walk right
Fantastic.
over.
This is the place to be.
It is.
It's either Williamsburg or Greenpoint.
I know.
You know.
But anyway, I don't know why I had the Bed-Stuy thing in my head. So Bobby Kennedy, he went there, and I do all these designs on people of
Nice.
history and
Yeah,
politics.
yeah,
and stuff.
beautiful. Yeah,
so I
yeah.
got one for Bobby Kennedy I gave you.
I'm a fan. Thank you.
And I got
Yeah,
another
yeah.
one for, I know you're Italian with the
Yes.
name Campo. You
That's
can't be
right.
Irish, right?
Campo, yes.
So there's mine for Captain America, Christopher Columbus.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Why is he so angry? Look at that.
he is a little angry, isn't he?
Well, you know what it is? He's not angry. He's Italian.
Yeah, that's just normal, right?
That's it.
Okay,
Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you as well.
Enjoy.
Did
Thank
you
you.
eat yet, Mike?
Brought some lunch today.
Good for you. It's nice to be married. See ya.
Always trying to feed everybody, huh?
Yeah, it's our culture.
Yeah. So thank you for meeting me.
Yeah, no,
I really
it's my-
appreciate it.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. I'm a clean slate. What I'm trying to do now, I used
Yeah.
to overly prepare
Okay.
and get all kinds of questions and everything. But you know what it would do? It would kind of kill like the genuine flow of a conversation. So now I kind of try to like just be organic about it and just have
Yeah.
like a normal conversation.
No, I like your style. Yeah. So
Um,
we're not prepared for anything today.
no, that's all I know is
You know what I call that?
What?
Perfect.
it's good, right?
Yeah, it's great.
So what do you do?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Every day. Actually, I'm living the dream. I work my butt off.
You
That's
do?
what I do. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Well, because, you got in touch with me because of the film, The Human Experience.
Right.
Then you found out later on, after watching the film, that we allude to the St. Francis home, which you found out that I'm the director of. And then this whole thing comes together. You
Right.
know? So I've got a pretty busy schedule. And, I work 24/7. I don't get holidays off, actually, in my line of work. But I'm loving every minute of it.
I love documentaries. That's my favorite film kind. Like, I'm a weirdo. I really am. I don't know. I used to not like just admit this stuff. I used to pretend like I was like kind of
Okay.
into sports and stuff like that. But now I just go ahead and admit it. I don't really care about sports whatsoever.
Wow, we're going to get along great.
Do you really?
You
You
I
don't
watch
care?
boxing once in a while.
Okay, yeah,
But
yeah.
now boxing gotten so bad over the years, you only see one good fight every 6 months. So, I can get into it.
I concentrate on like I'm always thinking about business, to be honest with you,
Sure.
and how it can try to be successful, and I just don't care about sports or anything like that. I really
I took a
don't.
different turn because I'm a little older than you, and I used to think that way too. And I think it's a very good way to think.
Okay.
Don't take this the wrong way.
All right.
But I found out something as I got a little bit older.
What?
Success is how much you can put into life, basically. And, the old saying, it's in receiving, not giving kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I found out it's true. You give more than you take if you want to be happy in this life. And if you do that, I can almost promise you joy in your heart. Not necessarily happiness, which is different than joy in your heart. Happiness is you and I are probably going to have breakfast after this. I'm happy about that. I really am. It's the first time we're meeting. We'll eat a little bit. We're both Italian. Again, it fits into our culture. But it's not joyful. The joyfulness is like even the human experience when you touch people's hearts, when you can change one's life for the better.
Right.
You can change one's life.
And you're referring to the documentary that your production company produced.
Yes.
The Human Experience. And it was a very good documentary. I watched it. Like I said, it's all I watch, really. If I watch TV or anything like that, I'm usually watching a documentary because I feel like you learn something at the same time when you're vegging out, And it touched a chord with me because I shared with you via email that I actually took a homeless person in, and he's my roommate now.
That's an amazing
And this
story.
is a legit homeless person. He's been on the streets for, 5 or 6 years. I had met him at the 3-year mark. So a little bit about me. I'm from Florida, originally from Tampa, although my parents are carpetbaggers from Connecticut. That's where my whole family's from, Bridgeport, which is the armpit of Connecticut. Anyway, are you familiar with Bridgeport?
I am. I just passed through it actually last week, but there are parts of Connecticut I noticed that they don't have graffiti. They really have calligraphy, It depends on which part of Connecticut you're in.
That's not Bridgeport.
That's not Bridgeport.
Yeah, it's genuine graffiti.
Yeah.
So anyway, I moved up here. I got a job sight unseen managing a little Verizon wireless store in Penn Station, the little one right across from New Jersey Transit. And I worked there for 6 months when I first moved up here. So as soon as I got here, I got the job, like I said, sight unseen. I started the next day. Literally the next day, that day, I met this guy. He comes in with a cell phone, and he's asking me if he could charge it. And I see him every single day. He's always in there. I'm like, hey, what's your name? We introduce each other. Turns out he's a homeless guy or whatever, obviously. And I just thought it was so funny that this homeless guy is wanting to charge a phone. He actually has a cell phone, and he sits there and plays on it all day long. And anyway, me and my girlfriend had moved up here. We were sharing a place. If she was out of town or something, I would say, hey, Tony, why don't you come on over and take a shower or something like that. Even let him stay at my house for 3 days one time. He never exhibited any form of insanity or anything like that. He didn't try to kill me in my sleep. He never did any drugs around me or anything like that. Even when Mr. Campo, I believe in complete and total honesty, I do smoke a little bit of marijuana, okay? And even when I would offer that to him, he would not take it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
So I just thought that was very, why are you on the streets?
Yeah, that's the question.
Why are you on the streets?
Well, something obviously happened somewhere along the line.
Yeah, he has the whole story about how he was a truck driver and his wife took all the money and was seeing somebody else at the same time. I don't know, his life crumbled.
Yeah, broken.
And he just didn't know how to handle it, and he went out on the streets, and that's where he stayed.
Yeah.
5 or 6 years, he was living underneath Penn Station. And that was in the movie. When the kids go out and they spend the days...
They spent a whole week
on
the streets of New York City, the coldest week that we possibly had in February, and they lived with a homeless community.
And they lived in that same homeless community that this gentleman was living in, right around Penn Station area. That little area right around the church. That's where he used to sleep. Yeah. So I just thought that was pretty cool,
Yeah, something to relate to. Sure.
Yeah, something to relate to.
Yeah.
So how you doing today? You doing good?
Yeah, no, I'm doing fine.
Yeah?
Yeah, thank God.
Okay, so where are we at right now? We're having this podcast right now in your office.
Yeah, this is my office. This is Grassroots Films. And so this is the kind of like the heartbeat of the place.
Okay.
And so the calls come through here, and the agreements come through here, and a lot of decisions are made through here on the business end of it. Then, of course, we have 3 or 4 more offices and a couple upstairs where we have the editing suite and we have our artists and so forth, and the decisions are made over there. So we kind of all work together in here. This is really set up quite differently than any other film company. We're sort of like family, which doesn't make our work any easier. That's for sure, because you can't fire family, No, not that I would fire anyone.
It's hard to work with family.
But it's difficult. My son just walked in and out. You saw that,
Absolutely.
And so, but he has his own life outside of here. He's married with children and so forth. And then all the other guys, But I had the great opportunity to, a lot of the guys that work here and that have been through here that you've seen in the Human Experience, that I raised them. as my own sons.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Cliff, who you saw in the film, was with me for more than half of his life. Same thing with his brother Jeffrey.
How did that come about?
Well, because I am the director of the St. Francis Home before I am
What's the
producer.
St. Francis Home? Let's talk about that.
Okay, all right. The St. Francis Home was set up back in 1967 by a very good friend of mine, Father Benedict Rochelle. And he set it up for young men who needed a second chance in life. And so here it is, 50 years later, and I've been the director there for 25 years. And so through other people and friends that we know and that we've worked with over the years, we've had young men need a place. And I remember when Cliff moved into the house, he was just a kid, we had no bedroom for him. He actually had to stay on the couch, which was one of the rules that no one sleeps on the couch, you know. And they run the St. Francis Home like a home, not like a facility, if you will, or a government operation. It's not that at all. You know, I mean, I would feed the guys steak, not steakums, you know. And we would eat dinner together every single night. We would cook together. And you understand the Italian culture or the Latin culture. We're family. And so through thick and thin, up and down, back and forth, at the end of the day, we're still together, no matter what. And, you know, Cliff was somewhat homeless when he came in here. And so that's why we created that atmosphere with him being homeless, so he would identify with the homeless people. But I don't want to give away the ending of the film.
No, let's
during
not.
this podcast or any other time. I don't want to spoil it, but he relates to that. And then the other situations that we have with the guys, they all relate to the people that they meet along the way. And so, you know, being the director of the St. Francis Home, I had the great opportunity to spend a lot of time with these guys and to make this film. And, you know, over the years, people have asked me to write a book on the St. Francis Home because of just the great things that came through and that came out of it. And I'm not a book writer, you know, but I really felt we could make a film. And we did. And this is the result of it. So what you see in the human experience is probably everything that you would see behind the scenes in a film. It's really a behind-the-scenes film because we go into the... I mean, you get a personal look into the lives of these guys. And it's not some superficial kind of, you know, acting job. Mm-hmm. You know, when the guys agreed to make this film, I said, okay, I have a rule. And one of the rules is very simple. No matter what happens, the cameras are going to be rolling. So, in the midst of the danger, in the midst of the tears, in the midst of the anger or the laughing, someone's going to say, ha, 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 or shut the camera off, I can't take it anymore. Bullshit, it ain't happening. The cameras are going to roll, and that's what we got the human experience out of.
Yeah, you got to catch the real stuff.
Catch the real stuff. There's no acting.
Absolutely.
I think you got that feeling when you watched it.
Kind of like this, when I was setting up, I came in and I already had everything set up. Yeah. Try not to, it's always that awkward moment where you're setting up and you're having the small talk and that's like so genuine chatter that you don't want to.
You want to ruin the moment.
You don't want to ruin that.
I'll give you an example. Sometimes
stuff.
I get an opportunity to go out and speak to groups. Mm-hmm. It could be 50, could be 500, could be 5,000. I don't know the size of the group. And most of the time when I get there, I don't know what I'm going to say.
Really?
Frankly. Absolutely. I do not have anything kind of written down. Like we're speaking today. I don't have any notes here.
But did you ever try to do that at
I get
first?
so confused, you know, when I got to look at notes and try to stay on. You know, what time do I go on? What time do I go off? And by the way, what's the name of the talk? And usually when I ask somebody that, the presenter, they go, what do you mean, what's the name of the talk? Just give it to me one more time. I already know what the name of the talk is. I want to hear them say it because it resonates, if you will, somehow. And I say a quick little prayer. I always say a quick little prayer, you know. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I believe most things are meant to be, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to do it the right way. I'm not going out there to act or tell a story. It's like, you want the truth? This is the truth. You don't have to like what I'm saying, but I'm not going to change it because it's the truth kind of thing. And usually these places that I get, you know, asked to speak, it's about the human experience or it's about the St. Francis Home. So I have no problem saying what it is, even if they don't like it. Mm-hmm. You know? So what do I have to write anything down for? It takes out the spontaneity, you know what I mean? The whole thing.
You pray to the Catholic Jesus, correct?
Yeah, although Jesus was Jewish, but yeah, I do.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm Catholic, so
I am as well.
God,
I went to Catholic school my entire life.
I never went to Catholic school.
Oh my God, really?
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It did something to me. Like
good or bad?
It ruined me in a
little most ways. People tell me that. I'm glad I never went if that's the case.
Yeah.
You know?
One thing that's great about Catholic school, very small school, very concentrated group of kids.
More intimate, right?
I have lifelong friends that I could always call on, you know? Because there's only 400 kids in the whole school, 100 each class.
Not many
even
people
in the
can
high
say
school
that.
and stuff.
Not many people can say you have lifelong friends.
Yeah. and but there is something about Catholicism, and when you were speaking about it, you almost sound like more Eastern.
Well, I love the Eastern rite because of the art.
Yeah, like the way you want to just go into it and into the moment and everything like that. That's like how I kind of go after things in life and stuff like that. I kind of believe like in the universe. You just put it out in the
Right.
Like if you want to achieve something, you start doing it. You start saying it,
Yeah.
and then whatever.
I take my faith very seriously. I take life very seriously. But
I guess you could achieve the same kind of thing from Catholicism, though, too. It's just a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like it. I like it, and I run into so many people who hate it, and then I ask them why, and they can't tell me. You know what I mean? Oh, they hate this, they hate this. They go, man, you don't get it, do you? Who told you that? Oh, you read the New York Times every day. I understand how it works, But I kind of stay away from that. I even stay away from television, quite frankly.
Me too.
Because every time I turn around, they're bashing it. And you want to know something? The people who bash the Catholic faith the most are usually Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? We bury them. They come at the end of their life, they get a Catholic mass.
It's so true.
It's hysterical,
like, even though I'm probably one of those in that demographic that bashes the Catholic faith at times. I do,
Right.
But because I was born that and I grew up like that, it's just something that won't die within me. It's like I am Catholic.
Yeah,
even
it's a tradition there, and it's very, very good. And I respect all other religions. I do. Whatever your religion is, it is. I mean, I run the St. Francis home. You don't have to be Catholic to get in.
No?
No, of course not.
Okay.
That would be denying my faith if I did that.
So
because it's universal.
The St. Francis home is through what parish? It's like
Not
connected.
through any parish
It's not
at
connected to any parish whatsoever.
It's really not connected to any parish. I'm Catholic, and the gentleman who started it is a Catholic priest, and he knew I took my faith seriously. And when the young men come through there, we go to Mass. It's what we do. Mm-hmm. Read the gospel. You know what? If you want to be happy in life, all the lessons are right there, I mean, it doesn't matter what religion you are. You read the gospel, you probably agree with it.
Do you know Italian at all?
Oh, enough to get me in trouble.
Yeah,
like
the only
we
thing,
didn't speak Italian in the house.
The only thing that I really know, I know like words here and there, but I know peace be with you. La pace sia con te.
Yeah. I learned the curse words. You see?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I didn't learn very much Italian.
Have you been to Italy?
Oh, I have. Yes.
Do you have family there? Have you tracked down your cousins and stuff?
No, they're in Catania. We're Sicilian, so I never really. I hope to go someday.
You got to.
But I've been to Rome. I've visited Rome quite a few times. I've been to Assisi. I've been all over Italy, and I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
and I haven't met anybody that doesn't like Italian food.
My mother, even though we're somewhat removed from Italy and stuff like that, but my grandfather insisted he would always write back and forth and everything, and then sent my mom in like 1960, and she stayed in contact with our cousins, even though like second and third cousins and stuff.
Nice.
I could stay in the town and everything like that.
Of course.
Everybody speaks Italian, but the one thing, like you were talking about Italians and family, they have a saying over here. It's like it doesn't matter how far the branches of the tree go, we're all family. I just thought that was so cool.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Doesn't matter how far the branches of the tree, right?
It's true. It's true because what else is there? There's family.
And when you're talking about it, how you bring people actually into your family, it's like it's so far removed from the branches. It's another tree altogether, but you still bring them in here.
But it's still a tree.
It's still a tree,
and it's still family.
Right.
It's a different tree, and it's a different family.
We're all human beings, right? We're all gonna die someday. That's what I like.
Look at it this way: in the Catholic faith, in the eyes of God, we're all the same.
Absolutely.
It rains on the just and the unjust.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So who are we to judge anybody?
Exactly.
So I kind of like those little, things that come through in my Catholic faith because they help me in life. Because you can look at somebody. Listen, everybody thinks that's against the Catholic Church. It sounds like I'm defending the church, but I deal with this on a daily basis, that the Catholic Church judges everybody. Guess what? You're supposed to judge everybody. Are you kidding me? How do you go through life not judging things? Everything's okay? I don't think so. Everything's not okay. You came in here to interview me today. Mm-hmm. In some way, shape, or form, somehow you judged certain things right off the bat.
Okay.
You're supposed to judge things. If you don't, there's no rules. If there's no rules, there's chaos. If there's chaos, you lose.
Well, in judging, you got to have some kind of street smarts about you, especially if you live in New York.
Need a barometer, absolutely.
Right?
If
you're not able to judge things, you might get killed in a dark alley somewhere.
First thing I said to you was, I'm sorry. When you came in, because oh, man, I got so many things going on. Did you forget? I told you the truth. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's another thing that we're very similar about. I always tell people the truth to a fault.
Of course.
If I'm wrong, I always admit fault.
I do too.
I go, all right.
It's
you're
a lot
right.
easier to get past.
I was
everything.
completely wrong.
Yeah.
I effed up.
Yeah, and you move on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're stuck in that.
I used to work in an Italian deli when I lived in West Palm Beach, and I went to the wedding of one of like the cousins and stuff like that very recently. I'm still friends with them, even though this 10 years ago plus that I worked there. Bernie, who was my boss at the time, Bernie Zuccaro, this kid that got married, his cousin Frankie, he was telling me a story about how they were working together. They were doing like tile work or something like that. He had messed something up, and he had totally admitted to Bernie, I messed up or whatever. I screwed up.
Sure.
It was my fault. I did it. And he goes, stop pulling a Rob. Because that was my thing. Even back then, I would do that. I would always just admit guilt and move on.
Yeah, well, then you destroy it.
Because there's nothing they could say after that.
Well, you disarm them.
They start yelling
Totally.
at you and stuff. Why did you do this? You know what? You're right. I'm stupid. I completely screwed up. I did it. You're right.
Yeah.
They're like,
Well, see,
I don't know what to say now.
That's real. Unfortunately, we don't learn that in life. When the young men come to the St. Francis house, you can tell just by the way they're trying to please me in the very beginning. I call that the honeymoon period when someone moves in. It's all BS. Mm-hmm. And it's like, nah, it's not the way it's going to work.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
it's
You're
really
right.
not going to happen that way. That's what you've done
After
in
a
the
little
past.
while, somebody's going to let their guard down. They'll start acting like they really
Yeah, that's
are.
what I want to know. Now, I understand there's a honeymoon period, and, you got to go through all that. That's very true. But, we don't lie and we don't steal. That's the two main rules when you get into the house. If you do any one of those things when you get in, chances are you're going to have a rocky time here. And it's not necessary. But people come in sometimes that are somewhat self-destructive or think maybe they don't deserve better, which, again, is a lie, And I have a different philosophy. I think that we're all the same. I don't care if you're the guy that it's your job to throw the trash out today or if you're the guy who's cooking. We're all the same, And I think with that philosophy in life, it helps tremendously. A lot of times you just become a product of your environment, and if you come from a negative environment, obviously you can have, negative answers and negative thoughts and negative this. My philosophy is this, and it's fairly simple, and you've heard this a million times, and it sounds a little cliche, but yesterday's over. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. All we have right now, Bobby, is we got this moment. Mm-hmm. That's it, man. Let's live it.
It's very deep. You touch on a lot of points that I like.
Yeah, let's live it. It's going to be over.
The one thing about everybody's the same, I absolutely believe that. And like when we were talking about like success and stuff like that, like so many people don't just do stuff. And I hate like Charles Bukowski. He was a great writer. Do you know who Charles Bukowski is?
I've heard the name. I don't know when
he lived in California and LA and stuff like that back in 60s, 70s. That was when his main period was when he was writing. But anyway, he's on his tombstone. It says, "Don't try," because what is "don't try," right?
Love it.
It's a negative, double negative.
Absolutely.
It means do, right?
Do it. Don't stop
Everybody's
trying.
always saying, "Oh, I'm trying. Whenever they say try, you got to stop them right there. Dude, do it.
Stop trying.
Stop trying. Do it. Because we're all the same. If you see somebody else doing something, you can do it as well because we're all human. We're all going to die someday. Everybody's the same, right? Yeah. And if you just put effort and you really want to do it, that's the secret. There is no secret.
There is no secret.
There is no secret.
We're all the same, but we're all different in this respect, that there will never be another Bobby Pickles, ever. There will never be another Joe Camp, ever, on the planet.
Unless you believe in like the multiverse and all these crazy scientific things that they're coming out with where they...
Yeah, I mean...
There could be another person exactly like yourself in some kind of universe somewhere.
In some kind of universe somewhere, which is I'm so far removed.
Some dimension.
How would that affect me or you? It's great to think about, and I love these kind of things, but it means nothing. It's great thoughts and it's great conversation, but what is its meaning? Nothing. Mm-hmm. What's really important to me is that there will never be another you. As a matter of fact, your ears on your head right now, the way God created them, there's no two ears like that anywhere on the planet. Never will be again. Totally unique person. Your fingerprints, the way you walk. There's no two people on the planet that walk exactly alike. No. So, we're all the same, but we're all so different. And so, I truly believe that everybody has at least one talent. At least one. And my job here at the St. Francis House is to find out what that talent is and then pull it out of the person. Mm-hmm. And then you become the person that you've really been created to be, Mm-hmm. And so...
I like that. One talent, huh?
Well, you've got more.
You could have more talents,
You've got more.
But these kids need to focus on one, right? At least,
I'm
start
with
that.
To something we can understand. No, everybody has more than one. But if we can just find one. Just give me one.
Right.
Tell me what you like to do in life. Don't tell me you want to win the lottery. Don't tell me that.
That's a cop-out.
Yeah, that's nothing. It means nothing.
Why would you want to win the lottery?
I don't know. I played it yesterday.
Of course, it's in your blood.
You know what I told the guy when he goes, "What are you going to do if you win?" I said, "Probably go to hell."
You know, it's genuinely
Scary thing.
like, I know you're talking about like stereotypes and stuff like that, but it is like genuinely in Italian blood to gamble. It's so crazy. When you go to Italy and you see it.
Oh my
and
God.
Even in the
Don't
little.
I give the impression that I gamble?
Well, I mean,
I played the lottery. Maybe you're right.
The lottery is a form of it.
It's some crazy numbers, and I was with somebody and I said as a joke, but I don't really play
It's
the
like
lottery.
invented by the Italians. I mean, they even play
Yeah, right.
little kids. They play this game called Tombora, and they play with dice and stuff. And little kids, really,
Is that what my
it really
cousins
is.
were playing?
Yeah, it really is ingrained in
Yeah.
the blood.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and I see it now. I live on Staten Island. So many people play the lottery and stuff.
Yeah, well,
It's just an over. I mean, I just think in general people do,
Yeah.
but I notice it a lot amongst Italians.
on the subject, because we're talking about a little bit of philosophy.
Yeah.
A 15-year-old kid asked me this question yesterday. He said, "Is there more good or evil in the world?" I said, "That's a very good question from a 15-year-old, but why would you ask me that question?" He said, "Because our teachers asked us that." He goes, "But I really want to know what you think."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Well, I believe that good will always triumph over evil. So, I think that there's more good in the world because evil destroys itself, and we're still here."
Mm-hmm.
Go back and tell that to you.
What did the teacher say?
I don't know. He's going to tell him today.
Okay, so is this a kid that lives here?
He doesn't live here, but his father did.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so I'm in the second generation.
How long have you been doing
25
this?
years.
25 years?
Yeah,
So you've seen a lot of kids come through here?
a lot.
What's like the median age of somebody, and what kind of person is attracted to the St. Francis house when they need help?
The person that would be attracted to the house is a person who's run out of alternatives. They've already been through the system. They come from a very difficult family life. And so they'll do anything to get in, quite frankly. I don't just take anybody in. If I can't help you, I won't take you in. If you're taking drugs, I will not take you in. If you think or I think that you have an alcohol problem, I won't take you in. It's not that kind of place.
Mm-hmm.
It's a home. And so years ago, 25 years ago, it was sort of like a drug rehab, because I am a drug and alcohol counselor and family counselor as well.
Awesome.
So I would take in a young man and you do counseling with him, you get the whole family. That's just the way it works. And anybody who's in the line of work that I'm in knows that. It's never one person. It's the whole family that has to come in order to get some healing, if you will. And so a young person that would come in, let's just say 20 years ago, was probably, got caught, went to Rikers Island. They either stole something more than once or they, and then, I picked them up, get him in. I was working with all these different counselors and different people that were on probation and so forth, probation officers. And they liked me because I would get the kid in and they'd make sure that they made their probation. I would go to court with them and do all those things. So that's the person who would get attracted, a person who has actually run out of alternatives. And just because you run out of alternatives doesn't mean, again, I'm going to take you in. You have to convince me that you want to do well.
Mm-hmm.
I have to believe you.
That's awesome. You have
Yeah.
to do that.
I have to believe you.
You can't force somebody, especially if they come from a drug problem or something like that.
Absolutely. And you know what? Again,
We're touching a lot of, this is some stuff that hits home with me.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to you about it if you would be open to it.
I'm open
But
to
about
it.
my brother.
Yeah.
I was only got just me and my brother. That's the only sibling I have. And we're 13 months apart, so we're almost Irish twins or whatever. We look the same, we talk
Wow.
the same. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This kid never did drugs. I mentioned earlier that I smoke pot sometimes. I
Right.
do. All
Right.
right, I'll admit it. But I feel like I use that for kind of creativity, and it's not like something that's very addicting. I don't feel okay, and I support the legalization of it. Okay, on a federal level. However,
I was in
my
Seattle
brother
last week. Everybody was high.
my brother never smoked. He never
Right.
did anything. He got in a car accident a couple of years ago, and he got his back really messed up, and he had to go for surgery twice, and his completely just gone on Oxycontins. He's completely addicted to it, and he's
Yeah.
always relapsing now,
Yeah.
always, and to the point where he's doing heroin and injecting it now. It's so crazy. But this kid's 32 years old. I'm 33. He's 32. He's gone. He's an adult.
Yeah.
And it's just sad that he's at this
Yeah.
point. But he can't shake it. We were trying, beating
Yeah.
our heads against the wall, trying to get him to go to rehab of some kind. you know. And at one point, he said that this has just happened last week. This is very fresh. Okay, this happened last week. My mother got him to agree to go to rehab. Found a place that was free. All the other places were asking for a lot of money and stuff like that. I don't know how you guys do it here. You guys don't even do that. It's after you get off of it, right? Okay. Finally found a place. They wouldn't take him that day. They wouldn't take him the next day. They wouldn't take him the day after that. But they finally, after like 4 days, they agreed. Okay, we have a bed.
Yeah.
now.
Oh, maybe they didn't have a bed.
Yeah, and they didn't have like
That's
staff
a common
or whatever.
problem. Yeah.
But it was really crazy hard to try to get help. You
It
know,
is. Yes,
and by
it is.
that time, after that window's gone,
Gone.
now you don't want to. Now I don't need any help anymore, and I'm off of it and whatever. And
Well,
it's all
he's
back
like,
to the
oh,
same.
you were going to help me, now you're not?
It's all back to the same. And honestly, I'm just like, Mom, just please don't even help him anymore. Like,
Right.
please just kick him out of your life completely. He needs that.
She'll
He
never
needs
do
to
that.
So she has done it for a little bit, for a
Yeah,
couple
well-
days now. She hasn't been
Well,
helping
that's
him with
good.
anything or doing anything.
That's good, but, you know, I mean...
But, and then we'll go
Yep.
into you right now. I just want to finish up the story. Like you were saying about how it's about the family, right? It's not. It's like all of us are affecting why he does this. I feel like, you know, it's from the way my dad is with him, and affected him growing up. It's like my mom affected him growing up and stuff. Like it's how I deal with him now at this point, where I don't even want to like deal with him and stuff. It's like all these things I feel like are contributing to him. It's not just him. It's like more the family would need help, not just him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I said earlier when we started,
Yeah.
you never get you get the whole family.
Exactly, and that's why I wanted to talk about that,
Yeah.
because that made me, you know,
Yeah.
think about
Well, let's
what I'm
talk
going
about it.
through.
It's not him that you don't want to help. You do want to help him.
Yeah.
You don't want to help him. You don't
He
want to
doesn't
help
wanna
the
help
drug
himself,
guy,
though.
whoever he is. He's a different person. He's not the same person anymore. And that's something that needs to be thought about, and your family needs to discuss that. What's his name?
Ricky.
Okay, it's not Ricky. The guy's a drug addict.
Yeah, absolutely.
His name is drug addict. That's different than Ricky. Ricky was probably a kind person. Again, never did a drug, never did anything. This poor guy got addicted to this stuff because of
back.
his back. I mean, this happens. There's a lot of people who are addicted to the OxyContin and all these different things now that you see. And it's all legal stuff. This is terrible. This destroys the whole family.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
how
no, man,
the legal stuff, you know, is like way worse than a lot of stuff that's illegal. Even like Schedule I drugs. Like I don't even understand how marijuana is a Schedule I drug. I really don't.
well, they had
How,
to do
how
something
could they
with
deem it doesn't have any medicinal purposes and stuff like that?
I don't know.
How could they
Listen.
do that though? And then they I don't know. I don't want to.
I don't
you
know.
You might not want to touch on like all the pharmaceutical stuff, the pharmaceutical industry and
I
everything.
stay
like
away
that,
from those guys. I stay away from the whole pharmacology, and I stay away from all of that stuff because I don't trust really that their decisions are right. I'll give you a quick example. If you watch television, and they sell drugs on television now on a daily basis. You go to your doctor, you tell your doctor what you want. Doctor doesn't prescribe anything. You tell him. This is insanity.
It is.
And then if you listen to what the byproducts are of that drug, a lot of times people will say suicidal tendencies. Now, would you give anyone a drug? Would you or me or anyone give anyone a drug that says that, you know, it's possible that you'll have suicidal thoughts? I'll take it to the next level, Bobby. I'll say suicidal thoughts. That's killing yourself. Does it also mean that you might kill me? I think so. I'm not buying into the whole thing. And so we see these mass shootings and all these things that are going on. People know what the problems are.
It's the
They're
crazy
drug-induced.
pills. The
They're
crazy
drug-induced.
pills that they give to everybody. I feel like that too. That's a huge.
Suicidal. The first thing I said was, wait a minute. Does that mean they'll kill me? Because I think so. Because I don't think you have a drug that will say, I'm just going to kill myself.
Yeah.
No. No, if you're having suicidal thoughts means you may kill someone else as well.
The original reason why they outlawed marijuana was because of the hemp plant, and it would compete with paper. That was
the original.
Yeah.
Back in the 30s.
Back in
or
like the
whenever it was,
like the early 1900s.
Yeah.
That's where
Yeah, yeah.
it stems
Actually,
from.
you know, marijuana used to grow right in Brooklyn.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me about that
It
for
would
a second.
No, I'm not going to keep this conversation going. No, I mean, it would grow wild. It would grow wild, you know, and it actually, my dad told me it actually grew in Brooklyn.
Really?
When they were kids, yeah. They knew it was hemp. They didn't smoke it.
No.
It didn't happen until the 60s.
Okay.
But it did. Not wild. That's a weed, man,
I know.
you know. But, yeah, your poor brother, you know, again, you're not dealing with him anymore. You're dealing with a drug addict. That's a different person. This stuff steals your soul. It's designed, I think, to harm people. Otherwise, so many people wouldn't be harmed.
Yeah.
So,
So after a person like that were able to get off drugs, and then, well, I don't know, like what's the age range for people that you take in the St. Francis house?
okay.
You have to be under 18, right?
No,
Or
you have to be over 18.
You have to be over 18.
Yes,
Okay.
but years ago, and it's all different now. They used to release a young person on his 16th birthday if you were awarded to the state.
Okay.
So if you were in an institution, if you were in jail, whatever it may be, 16 years old, you're out the door. They can't do that anymore. There's new laws. So we used to take him at that age. Now it's 18, so we take him at 18, basically. But even Cliff, when he moved in the house, I think he was 15 or 16. Jeffrey was about 15 or 16. There's Matthew right there on the left, who's in the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
I got Matthew at his mother's funeral. He was 9 years old.
Really?
Him and his brother.
Wow.
Took them both in. I eventually put Matthew into foster care because he needed a mommy. But his brother had just turned 16, and I took his brother in. But I kept the family together all of these years, and they're still together to this day. And they were orphaned.
Wow.
The mother passed away of AIDS.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in the film. It says it in the film.
And the father?
He disappeared.
He just disappeared.
He disappeared. You know.
That's more about the film, the spoiler alert and stuff. So we don't want to get.
You don't want to go too deep into it.
Into that, yeah.
Watch the movie if you want to see the ending.
Absolutely, watch the movie, The Human Experience. It's really good.
Yeah.
I saw it on Netflix.
Good.
So you can stream it right on Netflix right there if you want to.
Stream it on Netflix.
Yeah.
You can also go to our website and get the DVD.
What kind of stuff are you working on now? Are you working on any movies?
Yeah, I'm working on 2 films right now, and in between that, we do commercial work as well.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Oh, sure, absolutely. But I'm working on a film right now. The working title is it just the Friars, or the Monks of My Ross. I've got 2 working titles, and it's about a group of monks who open up their friaries in the poorest areas that you can possibly find. They started off in the Bronx.
This is a true documentary that you're
True
working on, right?
documentary. I know these guys personally. One of them is the guy who opened up the St. Francis House 25 years ago. That's his photograph right there, Father Benedict. Great
Wow.
man. Author of about 50 books as well.
That's
And-
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And so we're going to do a complete documentary on these guys. And one of the places we're going to is Ireland. A
Really?
place called My Ross, Ireland. Yeah. And it's a small town that the government built a wall around it to keep the people in. It's the toughest place you can possibly go, I think, on the planet, So they tell us. I should be going in the next couple of months. But we're going to be leaving for Nicaragua at the end of this month. And they also have a friary in Nicaragua where they work with the poor. But the main purpose of these guys is to work with the poor, to evangelize and to work with the poor. 2 things I believe in my heart, And so, but they're interesting characters. Like you would think, you see a monk and you say, this guy became a monk because something happened in his life. Well, if you talk to him, you find out that before he was a monk, he was an attorney. Or you meet this guy was a real estate mogul, or this guy was a professor. This guy has his doctorate in so-and-so. This guy's an architect. And you meet all these guys and you say to yourself, what are they doing here? Any one of these guys could be at the top of the food chain as the world would see it. Mm-hmm. They chose this life and found the joy that we spoke about earlier in helping other people and using the gifts that they have to make the world a better place. I like these guys. How could you not? They're Catholic. That's how you could not. But if you knew what they were really about and you took away all the labels, you might want to join this group. I don't know, But I've spent a lot of time with them, and they welcome me into their friaries. They live very poor. No one gets a bed. You get a pair of sandals, and you get the habit, And you take vows: poverty, chastity, and obedience. You know what? You know what I found out? I finally met real men. Men. Don't mess with these guys.
There's something about poverty that makes you very humble.
You know what I mean? They're men and they're humble. And that's very attractive.
Yeah.
Very attractive. Because if you want to know I was on the train the other day and I said, is there any men on this train? I don't want to start labeling people but it's like, give me a break. You're not going to melt in the rain, buddy. We're going to be okay. Does anybody have a pocket knife? Nobody. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Like in the days of old when you were growing up in Brooklyn and stuff like that, right? They were men.
They were men. There was no mistake. There was no confusion.
Yeah. My grandfather was a man, And
my father and my grandfather were too.
Yeah.
And I hope to be to my sons and all the boys that come through the St. Francis House, the young men.
Yeah.
You know, I play the daddy role. Let there be no mistake about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Italian, you know, we're not going to hang out together. I'm the father figure in the house. And there's lines. In other words, don't call me dude. You know, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
I respect everyone, and I expect the same respect back. Maybe even a little bit more because I am an adult, and I am king of the castle. But you know what? It's not the prettiest job in the world. I don't want anyone to think that I'm not handcuffed to my chair, if you will. And if you're willing to make certain sacrifices, and I think that's what men do, men make sacrifices for their families, for their extended families, for the good.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes I meet couples who are going to get married, and you know, they tell me, well, I'm going to give 50% and I'm going to give 50%, and I tell them, you're doomed. You're doomed. You've got to give 110. You got to give 110. I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard before. You're doomed. It's hard enough to stay together, and you're not even going to give 110%. Don't get married. I tell people, don't get married. Do yourself a favor. If you think that you should go out on Friday nights with your friends, if you think that you have that right, don't get married, because you lose all of that, but you gain something so much more beautiful.
You're right. A lot of people think that they can just keep up the charade. They can keep up going out and stuff like that. You know, I believe everybody has a little bit of insecurity in them. People like throwing around that insecure kind of, a lot, especially women. They love, that's like the go-to thing if they really want to get you. You're insecure, right? The truth is everybody's insecure. And if your significant other's going out on a Friday night without you, hey, I mean, everybody, I guess, should be able to be free and do whatever. But it's true, though. I
don't think everyone should be able to do whatever. I really don't.
No?
No, I think that you have certain responsibilities, and that's your job. It's your responsibility to have responsibilities, if you will. And, you know, if your spouse disagrees with you going out on a Friday night, you know, and it's your wife, I think she's right. I don't think she's insecure. I think she's smart. I really do. Because you know what? The temptations are greater than maybe you and I. We're men. We're idiots.
You're right.
The women know that.
Yeah.
They know our weaknesses. Listen, are you going to walk into the lion's den? Because I'm not. But you know what? Am I going to be tempted to? Yes, I am. But am I going to do it? No. See, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But am I tempted to? Absolutely.
That's a good point.
Yeah, will I do that? Yeah, I'll screw up. Guaranteed. It's going to happen. But am I going to, like, cheat on my wife?
Hey, think about it.
No,
it's like,
man.
you know, even though we're talking about Catholicism and stuff like that a lot during this podcast, you know, all the religions are the same, I feel like, really, to be honest. Like, I think it's all comes from the same thing. It's just kind of like language. Like, we all have different languages and ways
I
to,
think that,
you know, ways to communicate things. So other people, a lot of it is, you know, they're talking about one God.
Here's where I think we're different.
Okay.
Here's where I think we're different. I don't think that all religions are the same. I think that they try to achieve, you know, the same goals, if you will. Okay, so we have that in common. I don't think that any religion is better than another religion. That's for sure. But I know what I'm going to do. I know what I was taught. I know what my traditions are.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think it's better? Honestly, when people say that, actually, I shouldn't use that because I never even thought of it being better. It's just what I do. I don't think Italian's better than, you know, Irish.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So why would I even say
we all know that's not true.
I know that, but you know what? Don't tell that to the Irish, our Irish brothers and sisters. No, I love the Irish.
But
they're
yeah,
family people.
I know. I want to go and I want to drink a pint.
Yeah, right, right.
When you were talking about that, I was just thinking about the pubs. You know, Ireland's really taking a hit economically right now. They're fleeing. They're going to Australia and stuff like that,
I heard that.
and all the pubs are closing. It's nuts to think about that.
Well, you know, I'm sorry for all that, but it's going to really help the movie because it'll get the truth out.
Right.
About, you know, what's really going on. But to answer your question about all religions being the same, okay.
Well, I just feel like there's.
I think they try to achieve the same goals, but you know what? Our religion as Catholics is forgiveness.
They're the same goals, though. They really are. They're like it's all about some kind of higher meditative kind of get yourself into that. Usually, like I said, it's all monotheistic usually, right? Yeah. The main branches: Islam, Christianity, and Judaism.
Yes.
They're all monotheistic. We're talking about one God. Mm-hmm. But the only reason why I was bringing that up was because we were talking about the insecurity, not going out on a Friday night, taking responsibility for yourself or whatnot. You know, women over there in Islam, I mean, they wear burqas because you can't be in a room alone with another male if you're a woman because they feel like the temptation is there. You know? I mean, they take it to a tremendously different extreme.
Yeah.
But I think that there's some truth to that, though. There's still a little bit of truth to that. Like, really, I mean, there is temptation everywhere, and they're just not putting themselves in the situation whatsoever.
There is temptation everywhere. You walk out the front door, there's temptation, you know? That doesn't mean I'm going to do it.
Right. Or lock yourself down where
Yeah, I'm not going to lock myself in a room either. I'm going to live my life. And you know what? And I am going to screw up from time to time. We're all going to screw up. I mean, that's when you were saying before this false, you know, yeah, you're down right, we're going to screw up. We're just people.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us are wounded. And most of us have somebody in our family like your brother, or we come from a broken family.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's one point I wanted to bring up. You're talking about the negativity, right? You know, if you have a negative upbringing.
Yeah.
My buddy Toby, he's Italian, Tobias Spinelli. He says if you grew up with a lot of negativity and, you know, you come out on the other end, there's either two ways you can go about it. You can either harness the negativity and turn it into positivity and then become very successful. Or if you're a guy, you become a drug addict. Or if you're a girl, you become a prostitute. That's what he said. That was his
Well,
quote.
I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to what he says. It's not an absolute, of course. And he's probably witnessed this himself in his own life.
He's like a little Buddha. No, like, formal education, really. He didn't go to, like, higher learning or anything like that, but he's very intelligent. And he just comes out with just things that are very, you know, wow, I can't believe you just said that. But it's true. I feel like you come from negativity. You could either harness that negativity and turn it into positivity, or you get crushed by it.
Yeah, you get crushed by it. I get a lot of young men that come through the house who are crushed by it. And then it sort of becomes my vocation or my job to uncrush them, if you will. And sometimes it works. And sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on the individual. There's really no formula for this because everybody is different.
And have you had to turn your back on people that just didn't work out? It wasn't working out. You were trying, and you know what? I just can't help you. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a hard thing. I mean, I had on 2 cases, I had to put people out, or maybe 3 cases. I had to actually put people out. I don't put people out. I take people in.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, you reach a point, and, you know, it's either emotional or it's intellectual. And so, you know, you have a combination of the 2 things going on, and you have to balance that in some way. But how many times could you make the same mistake? Well, after a while, it's not a mistake anymore. It's deliberate. That happens. And so, again, some people are so wounded that you can't help them. They need much more help than I could ever give them. And some people I've discovered over the years will never heal. I mean, I don't even like to say that. But it's true. Some people will never heal. Some people don't want to heal. I mean, I know people that are happy when they're unhappy. If that makes any sense.
I know.
You know, they're happy or they're used to living in such negativity that when you put them in something positive, it's sort of like picking up a bag of, you know, I don't know, let's just pick up a bag and it weighs, you know, 300 pounds and you walk around with this thing and you do it your whole life. Then all of a sudden somebody comes along and says, let me hold that for you. And you put it down, they go, oh man, this feels really good. Thank you, you know. Then an hour later they go, give me the bag back. I got to get normal again.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I don't know. I've been trying to do that my whole life, though. I always find myself trying to save somebody. When I think back about it, I really do have like a record of bringing in like troubled people and kind of like letting them live with me or something like that. I always owned houses. My grandfather passed away. My mother was an only child, and so we sold the house in Connecticut. We divvied up the profit. You know, I was against this, by the way. But anyway, at a very young age, I was able to like purchase my own house and everything and stuff like that. And I always had rooms available for my friends, and I would always like bring in the people that were really just needed a lot of help and stuff. My buddy, I'll just go ahead and say his name. I got no shame. Piazza. This kid is the kind of kid who's always on drugs for a little while, and then he's off, right?
Yeah.
And then he's good for a little bit, and then he's right back on it. Yeah. And he disappears. You know where he went? Maybe he went to prison or something like that. Comes out. Oh, now he's back, and now he's clean. And
I've got 2 of those guys that come through the house. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And he's lived with me like 4 times, and I was considering moving him here he's from Boston.
Yeah.
He lived with me in Florida numerous times.
Right.
I was thinking about moving him down here because he has a great mind and he can come up with T-shirt ideas. He really does. He's awesome.
Very helpful, huh?
He's very good at coming up with all kinds of creative things.
But what you're talking about is a pattern here.
It is a pattern.
And so once you
I have a pattern, though. I help people. Maybe they don't even necessarily want my help. And it's me trying to force feed it down their throats.
You'd be surprised. He knows exactly what you're going to do. You're not the only one that he does this with. I can almost guarantee that.
He just hasn't done it to me in a little while. It's been a couple of years since he.
Well, right now he's doing it to someone else. And so, again, it's a pattern. You know, for you, I don't think it's a pattern. Pattern is something different. I think for you, it's a way of life. It comes from the heart. That's different. You know, for him, it's almost a habit or a pattern. And these things, they develop over time, and that's how you live the rest of your life. For you, when you're giving to someone, you're getting nothing in return to help this guy. That's not a pattern. That's goodness that comes from one's heart. And that's put there by, well, I believe, God. I don't think that we're just born that way. Everybody's just, you really have this special like channel, if you will. And God works through all of that, and at the end of your life, there's going to be the left and the right, in our way of thinking of Catholicism and the Day of Judgment, and someone will say, well, did you help? Listen, if I drop dead a millionaire tomorrow, it's not going to be asked of me, how much money did I pay in taxes, or was I honest to the government?
Camel through the eye of a needle.
Yeah, it's sort of like, well, did you help the poor? Yes. Oh, did you visit them in jail? I did. Yeah, actually I did. But when did I do that? You did it for me. That's basically what happens. So that comes from your heart when you do that. You're helping people. It's what gives you joy. Doesn't it give you joy?
Well, no, it'll give me a lot of heartache when they inevitably...
in the end, you get nothing.
In the end, they're going to fail, probably. I mean, like Who
knows? Yeah, but you don't make that judgment call. They do. You just try to help them.
And it always ends in me kicking them out and then see you later for a couple of years.
But that's okay. But, you're not responsible for their life. You're not responsible for the outcome of their life. You're only responsible for what you put into it. And that's what you've done. And so, you walk away from that and say, I did the best I can. And as a man, I think that's what we're supposed to do. We do the best that we can. I tell the young men in the house all the time, do me a favor. Just show up today. Show up for life and do the best you can. Stop crying. Stop bitching. Stop moaning. Just take care of today. If we get through today, we'll talk about tomorrow. But if you drop dead or get hit by a bus, you wasted the whole day. What are we doing here, So, and I'm trying to take my own advice even today, to be honest with you, because this puts a crimp into other things I was going to do. Maybe not. Maybe, we're supposed to be here doing what we're doing. That we're doing it. And we're not doing anything wrong, We're not doing anything to hurt another person. Maybe through this podcast, someone will be enlightened, or someone might say, wow, or call the St. Francis house. I don't know. Whatever happens, happens. Again, I'm not responsible for the outcome of this interview, but I am responsible for what I'm putting into it. And I think that if most people felt that way about themselves, there'd be more confidence. When a young man comes to the St. Francis house now, there are different problems than when they had 25 years ago. 25 years ago, drugs, alcohol, homelessness. Now, a little bit of pot, a little bit of drugs, very possible homelessness, but not necessarily addicted to video games.
Oh, yeah, God.
Or the computer. Now,
I don't ever play
video
games. I grew up with the first Nintendo.
You and I were both there when they all came out.
I was a little kid,
Yeah, sure.
From Atari on all the way to what it is now, right? So I grew up during that whole thing where video games became... My brother, video game addict.
Yeah, well, that's
addicted to video games his whole life. Always addicted to it.
You watch someone playing video games, and I've done this study myself. They go through a lot of emotions. These are very real. The endorphins that are being shot off in their brain right now, that's addiction.
You're absolutely right.
So you stay away from that shit.
I do.
You know what I mean? Let me tell you something. It's okay in moderation, and I believe that anything's okay in moderation, unless you're hurting someone, But I mean, anything, even a video game, is not necessarily
sports
bad.
Too. Honestly, sports is
life.
a great thing, and it builds camaraderie among people. I feel like I go to a Yankees game, and I love it. I love sitting around those.
It's a lot of fun.
It's fun, and it's camaraderie. But it's back in
I'll tell you when it's a problem.
What?
Let's just say that you meet a beautiful girl. You're a Yankees fan. She's from Boston.
Okay. Yeah,
her father's a Red Sox fan.
But that's what I was going to say.
Guess what? Your relationship could hurt. You're addicted.
It's that tribe mentality.
We're
going back to when I might
what?
offend you now with the evolution theory, but
I don't know.
I'm saying, it's back to that Neanderthal days or whatever, this tribe mentality where we want to, my guys and where I'm from can beat your guys where you're from, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just want you to know I'm not offended at all by that whole evolution thing.
Do you believe in evolution or no?
Well, I mean, I believe that if God created evolution, then yeah. That hasn't been proven yet. Evolution hasn't been proven yet. And because I have faith in the way I believe in, like, let's say Adam and Eve, guess what? I don't have to prove anything.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's a lot easier. I don't have the answer. And people who believe in evolution do not have the answer. But I can say that faith means this. If I was to define faith, I would say believing in something I do not see, I do not know, I cannot touch, I cannot smell. So I have faith. So I believe in my faith.
Yeah, I don't believe science necessarily negates the existence of...
The greatest scientists in the world believed in God, including Einstein. I know because of Father Benedict. And I can tell you a quick story about Einstein.
Okay.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. He lived in New Jersey.
Yep.
Okay. And he would welcome any Catholic priest that would come to knock on his door.
He would?
Yes. He wanted to speak to them about their faith.
Okay.
He said that if you believe in this God, and I want to know why. Tell me about this. And so they would talk about the Eucharist, the host?
Mhm.
Okay, for Catholics know what I'm talking about. Einstein's theory on that was, well, if he's God, of course he can do that. There was no anything. Well, if he's God, he can do whatever he wants. So, of course, that could be him. You know what I mean? It was like crazy stuff. But here's the same man, a true story, that would get on the phone and say, operator, I need Albert Einstein's address. And the operator would say, I'm sorry, but Dr. Albert Einstein's number is unlisted. We're going back to the 50s or whatever.
Right.
And he would say, oh, no, it's an emergency. I need Dr. Albert Einstein's address. And can you please give me his phone number, And the operator would say, no, I'm sorry, it's unlisted. And he'd say, put me on with your superior. Superior would get on and say the same thing. And the end of the conversation was, but I'm Dr. Albert Einstein. It's a true story.
Really? Why would he be doing that?
As intelligent as he was, the poor guy didn't know when to take a bath.
He didn't have his
He
address
forgot.
or his phone number.
He just forgot.
Memorized.
It wasn't important to him. What was important is if a Catholic priest knocked on his door, and the person who answered the door would say, "Do you have an appointment?" He would say, "Just tell him I'm a Catholic priest." He would let him in. That's what was important. He believed in God, and all of this wouldn't make any sense if there was no God. None of this would make sense. So he's kind of like one of my heroes, and he was Jewish. He was of the Jewish faith.
He's one of my heroes also. I have a T-shirt for him.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's the one with the sticking the tongue out?
Yeah.
He got a bad rap on that one, didn't he?
It's off of that. Yeah, it's him.
Good,
it's
though.
him with his tongue out and he's eating a piece of acid.
Okay.
I'm just saying,
Well, that's
he's-
pretty funny.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's pretty funny. I don't think acid was around when he was around, was it?
Yeah, he's tripping out so much and he's into science, right? I mean, I don't know. He has a higher consciousness.
But here you have one of the greatest minds of all time, and he believes in God. And now we have the greatest scientists here of all time, and their thing is to be atheists. Well, you know what? I can't tell anyone what to believe. I can't make anyone believe anything, but they're certainly not God.
I just feel like, when we get far in science and we come up with all these different things and we further our knowledge about the universe, I don't think that necessarily negates the fact that there's a God. And
Yeah.
some people think that there's a correlation between, oh, well, now I don't believe in God because we evolved. Why can't they? So
No, listen, evolution is not the thing. That's not even the question. That's not even the problem in all of this understanding. The problem is this: where did it all come from?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
let's say evolution is true. Well, God put it there.
My uncle says
The Big Bang Theory, where did it come from? Did it happen by itself? No, there has to be some intelligence behind it.
My
for it to happen.
uncle Mark, he says, I wasn't a monkey, you were a monkey.
Everybody should have. an
And
Uncle
obviously
Mark.
there's an expletive inside that in that sentence.
Yeah, right. But the question is where did if you can make something out of nothing, then you're God.
Yeah. I don't think there's a correlation between the two. But
Yeah, I
anyway,
agree.
I enjoyed speaking with you so much, Mr. Campo. It was an awesome conversation. It really was. And I appreciate being able to come down here to the St. Francis House
Yeah, no,
and speak
thank
with you at your
Yeah.
office here in Brooklyn in Greenpoint,
Greenpoint, yeah.
where all the Polish people are.
Yeah, beautiful. The first time I ever ate Polish food in my life was when I moved here.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a macaroni and meatballs kind of guy. You know that.
Yeah, man. Polish food's good, though,
It's
too.
good food.
It's very heavy.
Excellent. Yeah. yeah.
Get you not drunk anymore. Even drinking. So now if people want to reach out to you,
Yeah, they could go to our website, grassrootsfilms.com, or the St. Francis House. They can go to that website, which is sfhbrooklyn.com.
okay. And then if they want to see the
The
human experience,
Netflix.
Netflix.
Or go to our website, either one, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. Appreciate it.
1, 2, 3. FatEnzo.com. 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 FatEnzo.com.
Enzo.com. Enzo.com. Enzo.com.